we get started this evening, again, thank you for everyone who's here for our July board meeting. We appreciate your attendance. I want to welcome everybody here. Like I said, there is a sign in sheet over there, so we know who all is here. Carrie always appreciates having those. And Mr. Sukan is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. He just found that out, by the way.
I'm good with that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I did this backwards, so if you might stay standing, please, for a second. Father in heaven, we thank you for this opportunity to be together to discuss the business of this district. We thank you for each person who's dedicated their lives and their livelihoods to taking care of seeing that our children get educated. I ask that you would guide and direct us throughout this meeting, give us wisdom in any decisions that need made. Guide and direct us always, and we thank you for your presence within our lives. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right. Did anyone have any comments or questions regarding the agenda before us tonight? Okay, then I would entertain a motion for approval of our agenda.
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion that we approve the agenda as set.
Okay, motion for Mrs. Anderson.
Second.
Second by Mr. Claridge. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Did anyone have any comments or questions regarding our consent agenda? No, wait a minute. Stop. Before we go any further. Miss Frances Engel, our new HR person, who I've never called her Miss Frances Engel. Where did that come from? Anyway, I believe you have something that you would like to do right now.
Yes.
And I'm going to turn the floor over to you for a minute.
Okay, on behalf of the district, we'd like to present Dr. Parker with his own personal brick.
Good. Okay. Yeah, it is a brick. Look, make sure.
Yes, it's not actually brick,
It's
but
not,
let's turn it.
it's not an explosive, is it?
It's not an explosive, no.
If so, don't open up in here.
Yeah.
Open up here.
Yeah.
But it is a thank you for your time leading us
Okay.
in the district.
Well, thank you.
And for those that are all curious,
I heard about this, but I haven't seen it.
it is a very heavy
Oh my word.
dragon bowl.
That goes right along with your stuff.
Very
It does.
Well, I look at my museum pictures.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll make an exchange. I came here to return my last things I ordered. Here's the charger to my iPad. And also my little. Okay.
Thank you, sir, for all your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Parker.
Are you staying or are you leaving? Are
You
you
don't mind, I'm gonna leave.
okay, well then you have to come shake our hands.
Okay.
You better need me to hold that for you.
Well, I'll leave the brick right here.
Okay.
And I might fall over.
The weird part, I think you would rather take the gallbladder.
A gallbladder. Yeah, we can
Good luck.
arrange a gallbladder if he needs one.
Gallbladder or what?
That part,
And thank you for coming tonight so that we can officially thank you, and we do appreciate everything you did for us. Thank
Well,
you.
I can't tell you what a pleasure it is just to leave.
I had a feeling you were going to say something very similar to that.
So, still time to go to your game, so I'm gonna go home to this nerd.
All right, thank you.
Enjoy.
See you later.
See ya.
Okay, now to our consent agenda. Did anyone have any comments or questions? Okay, the consent agenda is adopted by unanimous consent. Did anyone turn any patron comments in? Okay. First discussion item is mainly informational. I think you guys have all gotten some information from Harry about some training that we're looking at having. It actually will be next Monday night. Everybody thought they could make it, and it's Dr. Phil Gore is coming from ISBA to give us
What time are we?
an introductory 6 o'clock, I believe,
On the 24th.
on the
I'll
24th.
double check on that one and let you know. I believe
think it was 6 o'clock.
But it was 3 hours, right?
It's
No, I
3
think it was
hours.
5.
Was it 5? I'll check. I can't remember.
Anyway, it is some of the training that is provided for us by the state. We are reimbursed for it. So they'll come and give us similar to what we went to in Twin, but probably far more in depth just for the board.
I
Excellent.
think it's at 5, and dinner will be provided.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, starting at 5.
5, yeah.
that's probably what I put on my phone. Okay.
It'll just be full training.
And it's 5 o'clock. You can make that right one.
I can.
Okay, because I was thinking Monday was one of those nights when you were closer.
I'm good this Monday. I was next Wednesday. I fly out.
Oh, okay, so all right, good. Anybody else have any questions regarding this?
So everyone can make it, right? Okay, I'll let him know.
Bargaining irrigation is that.
Okay, I'll let him know everyone can make it.
I'm gonna pray through your pivots. How's that sound?
I do.
All right. If no one has any further questions, then we also are looking at having a detailed audit. There's been discussion about having just another company come in. Harris CPAs has been contacted. They are very knowledgeable in school finance, coming in and just perusing our books more so than what a regular financial audit would do. Mr. Larson, did you have any more information?
We hadn't heard back from him. Kerry reached out again today. Person we need to talk to is not in the office. We're trying to get a cost for the board
Okay.
as to what that would run, but we don't have that as of yet.
I would be guessing that it's probably going to be a dollar amount that might require you to solicit
Yes,
RFPs.
put in.
Yeah.
it's likely.
Okay.
It's going to be maybe north of 50,000, I guess.
Has the district ever had a more in-depth audit done?
Not to my knowledge.
Not to my knowledge. So as we get more information, we'll let everybody know. As we hear.
Yep.
Okay. Policy discussion on policy 302.00 open enrollment. This is changed by our legislature. So we are looking at, we've already looked at it some, but is there anyone having any further questions on what we have seen before? Any ideas that have come to mind since we last discussed it?
Mrs. Whitmire wants to take it to the PRC also for them to look at it this next time.
Okay, so there would
Even
be,
though it is, everything's ISBA, she wanted to
okay,
This is the model policy for ISB, correct?
yes,
I took ours out or crossed ours out, but all of yours. And there's now a procedure and a new form.
so we didn't have those things before, and now we
We
have.
didn't have procedure and this is
Procedure.
a whole new form.
Okay,
My question I had on it was on the open enrollment procedure file. And in there, it gives us an option A and an option B as far as determining. And I was just wondering how do we determine which option we're going to take? Are both options open to us? Are we going to designate one option as the option that we choose for?
They talk about that usually in PRC, because there's MCA, there's the board, there's usually
administrative.
admin and that too, to kind of discuss those options. I don't remember which ones they are.
Just like option, it talks about accepting a student, that on option A, it says that there would be a team, essentially of the superintendent, principal.
And right now, it's the admin that decide. Yeah, there's not a team, it's just the admin that decide.
So it's really not ready for prime time playing yet, is it? We need to have some more look at it.
No, it went into effect July 1st, but our policy kind of covers everything. It's still similar. We still have reasons we can deny it. Special ed, if we don't have the teachers, if we have to hire more teachers to cover that class discipline, expulsion, those are all reasons for denial. So we still have that option, But after 2 years, then they're automatically just put into the system. They don't have to apply ever again.
Okay.
And next year, if they apply this year, next year they just have to write a letter stating they're interested.
Have the admin looked at this? You have, I see two, I see three.
This is the law right now.
This is the law,
but
yes.
We have to be following it
Yes.
Yeah.
for next school year.
So it sounds like we are adopting primarily option B then, where it says we designate an administrator to review it, rather than the superintendent and an administrator.
That's just what they do now.
Okay.
I mean, if they want a committee to do it, that's kind of up to you. But the admin have always done it. They've looked at their like if it's from another school, they've looked at their grades, different stuff like that. They've always been the ones who have decided.
I guess my question would be to us then is if, and maybe this is more for you, if this is the law, I guess we can do option A or option B. Do we as a district want to lock one of them down just so we have consistency as we move forward?
Yeah, and maybe I misunderstood. Ms. Tibbetts, are you guys going to ask the policy review committee what you?
That's normally what they've done when they've had it in green like this.
Right,
They have
you're gonna
never
ask,
talked about
they're
it.
gonna give you guys feedback on what
Okay.
your option. But when it's finalized, there'll be one
One of the two options.
of the
that we
two
will-
options.
Right, I'll have it all formatted better for you guys to
Okay.
see.
Yeah,
Okay?
and I have a question. Why is there 7 criteria in option B and only 5 in option A?
Yeah, I was wondering that too. It kind of threw me for a loop.
The procedure's brand new. We
Yeah,
never
I
had
didn't
procedure.
think we'd had that
You see
before.
what I'm saying? I think there should be. Is it big enough? So option A, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come option B,
There's
things they
7.
look at are 7.
So Michelle Widmeyer just texted me and said she would like to know what your guys'
It should be the
feedback
same
is
whatever it is.
on A or B.
Oh,
My thought just looking at it, when I read it first, I just saw option A and I thought that was the only option we had. I thought, that's a lot to ask the superintendent to be in on every one of those decisions. So I thought option B was.
I'm sorry, mine's superintendent.
Well, option A, so option A says the team shall, it says it shall include, so that tells me maybe it should.
everyone's there.
It says superintendent, the principal, or vice principal of the building. And then option B, says that,
Designate an administrator.
yeah, the designated administrator to evaluate the data. To me, that seems like that would be,
With a district our size, it makes more sense.
it makes more sense.
You had 3 schools, that'd be one thing, but we have
That was option
So
B.
I can tell you what we do at the high school. I do the groundwork, and then Mrs. Reddington and I do the groundwork. We check attendance, we check discipline, we make phone calls, we do all of that, and then we send our recommendation to the superintendent.
Yeah, I think the recommendation of superintendent's awesome. I just don't know if he needs to be in on
What's your thoughts,
evaluation
Mr. Larson?
I mean, I agree with what's been stated. I mean, generally, when I would review policy before, I always took it to the administrators anyway. They're the ones running the building, they know what works and what doesn't, and, you know, what, I don't wanna say clientele, but the student populations, and they know all that stuff. And as a superintendent being removed from the building, I often didn't. And so that's what I would recommend anyway.
Is option B
Yeah.
you? Is that what he's saying?
Yes,
So
option
option
B,
B?
Yes.
Okay.
most likely the one that sounds most logical for us.
Well, Michelle must be listening because she's.
Oh yeah, she wants all the details, yes, she does. So what I'll do is, we'll take it to PRC, we'll revamp it, whatever, and we'll bring it back to you as a first reading, okay?
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
And then the second one is policy 320.00 attendance and policy 266.00 secondary grading alternatives. There is wanting to be some discussion to combine some of the wording from the from 266 into 320.
On 320, have we come to a conclusion? I think the survey was pretty clear.
The survey was very clear that no one wanted, 95% was not a popular choice.
So,
Probably 95%.
Yeah, by 95%, that would be a good way to put it.
So are you taking that into consideration then, like what the survey told you guys, or was it already decided that you're gonna switch it to 95%?
No, we're taking, that's why we wanted the survey done, because we felt like it was due diligence to find out what people and parents thought. We were told. Secondary grading alternatives, that's there partly to see about students that have had to miss more days, or after reading that extenuating circumstances, and after reading some of the comments on that survey, I'm not so sure, but we shouldn't have a little bit more discussion. Maybe not right now, but there are a lot of ideas in there that maybe we need to have a discussion on. I don't have it in front of me. I mean, I can find it, but it's tiny.
You mean as far as the feedback?
The feedback.
Yeah,
There was some suggestions in there.
I'd also say there's a lot of confusion too on
Yes.
what
And
the policy is, because there was a lot of people that didn't understand
Yes.
about doctors' notes
Yes.
and things like that.
They think that they have to have
Well,
a doctor's note for everything.
On how our
And it's
funding,
like-
works from the state.
well,
Yeah.
there were misconceptions in there that I would love to be able to clear up, and whether or not people are listening, I just need people to know that we are not the ones who set the ADA. That is coming totally from the state, and if you have any pull with any legislators to going back to enrollment, then I would highly recommend that you start contacting those people now, because of the constraints that it's putting our district under right now. The other thing at one point Mr. Sukan had brought up is, what if you had, say, a B student, and I know that there were several comments in that. You had a B student, they were gonna go over the number of days, if they had a specific grade, could they get excused absences? I don't know if we wanna go into that quagmire,
I don't know.
but
Might be Pandora's box.
it could be.
It could be a Pandora's box, big time.
But,
But that's just the comment
You're right.
we hear all
Yeah.
the time.
yeah, it is. My student's a really good student, why can't I take him out of school and go for vacation? And yet I also find that our policy states at the very beginning that the whole idea is to get students an idea of attendance is required for an education as well as for work experience in the future.
I see that side of the coin too.
I see that side of the coin all the time as well. So we're in a rock and a hard place.
And we need to make it more fun.
So is
Oh
it
yeah, we need to make it more fun. School needs
Teachers,
to be more fun.
we need to make it more fun.
That's
Yep,
what
that's
kids are
what they said.
looking
I won't even comment.
I know.
And quit testing them, and we can make it all kinds of fun.
I agree.
Quit requiring so
That was
many
our comment.
tests.
That was in comments.
That was in
Believe me,
comments
more
too.
than once.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, are we allowed to make comments if we don't turn in our paper? I just have a question. Does the state require the doctor's note for the excused absence?
That is our decision, because of the number of young people who were, well, first of all, parents were not letting the school district know. There were forged doctor's notes and other things written obviously by children that were being turned in. It was to try and get a handle on lying, basically, if we want to put it that way. And probably an epic fail, but it's very, very frustrating when students just don't see a need to come to school. And we can't instill it in them, the teachers can't instill it in them. I'm not, your parents are trying to instill it in them. Some are, some aren't, but we're paying the price, and they're paying the price for not showing up for school.
But they can miss so many days without the doctor's note. It's not, they don't have to have a doctor's note every time they're sick. Are you talking high school, elementary?
Well, in elementary, they're not quite as stickler about it, but in high school, we just personally, we run into it where like if we take a family vacation, then that means that anytime my kid has a fever, my 17-year-old, I have to take her to the doctor to get it, to be told that I don't need to send her to school, and it does get a little frustrating, and we can do that. I know there's families who can't do that. There's
Well,
families
and
that-
like was pointed out in the survey, you go to the doctor, you get a doctor's note pointing out it's a virus, there's nothing you can do about it. You just paid $109 or whatever for that.
that's
I
all
get that. It's very, very frustrating. And we have families that can't afford to take their child to the doctor. So where do we draw the line? How can we make this fair for everybody and yet still emphasize the fact that young people need to be at school?
Because you're not thinking the parents really know that, like they don't. And I guess I kind of think the parents who don't care whether they send their kids to school or not, I don't think you're going to convince them by making it get a doctor's note. But the parents who do care, it punishes us. We kind of have to, now we have to go through a whole rigmarole, even though we really want our kids to just be at school. We just don't want them to spread disease. Yeah.
And that was mentioned a lot about sending sick children to school.
No, that's really hard. That's, anyway, I just wondered if it was mandated by the state or if that's like within your control. Okay.
No, the thing of it is they come, they come to us and they say, this is how we're going to pay your district. Right? Seats in the butt, your butt's in the seat, and that's exactly what they say. Do we like it? No. Do you know why they do it? Because there's ghost people out there evidently. Parents lie, people lie. They lie to the state.
And we're in a tough area,
And
obviously.
we're in a tough area.
With an agriculture base, a lot of times the people that want to take vacations, like you said, their best time is sometimes during school year. So there's always a rub there. Do you postpone a school vacation versus putting your kid in school, or we understand there's really no win-win.
That's hard.
Of course, we were also hit with going back to a 5-day school week.
Yes, we were.
And
People were in favor of that.
Pardon me?
People were in favor
A
of that.
few, just a few.
There were some
A
comments.
few.
Yeah, some comments about go back to 5 days.
Some wanted to start later in the day. Do they realize that you're going to get home later in the day? They don't. I don't think they.
And they don't want us double busing. They want the elementary students starting much later. But those are the ones where you think, okay, how do you know how big our district is? Do you know how many miles out there we bus?
Into social.
So is it just, going back to the policy though, is it just the two yellow paragraphs are the ones that we're wanting to have reviewed in order to possibly?
Those are the ones that dealt with the extenuating circumstances and what it was.
Okay.
That's why I just highlighted those, because if you're looking, that's not in the attendance policy. So if they're looking for something like that, they wouldn't find it because it's secondary grading alternatives. Has nothing to do with attendance. So with that, we put it in because we didn't know if you guys would want something like that in the attendance policy, so people would actually know where to look for it.
Well,
It could be referenced, you mean?
Yeah, because that's just second grading alternative. That's it. It doesn't say anything with attendance. Yeah, so it's different.
what about like the self-directed learner policy and stuff too? Does that need to be kind of blended in there somewhere?
Well, and I think too, like a couple of them did say in there, and COVID did hurt us because we had some teachers taking attendance and some not. That hurt us, our district, big time. Even though they were told to take attendance, there were some that did not. So some parents don't think it matters. So it's hard.
So basically, as a result of this discussion, do you see an ability or a need to put some sort of a refer to policy 266 or something like that? Is that what you're,
Something, or I could even word it in there.
or put it into our attendance policy about alternative grading options?
But there has to be there's a criteria for that they have to meet also.
So there'd be discussion on whether or not we need to
Well,
direct the
But
policy
that
review
that
committee
refers
maybe
to if you
look
have good grades too. If you have good grades, if you're over, that right there refers to that.
well, on the extenuating circumstances part, it says it'll be reviewed on an individual student basis, and there's probably some situations that are out there that's really all you can do is review on them, make a call on it.
And it comes down to educating people that is there as an option.
We want to get as many people educated as possible. So
This would be a question more for the administrators, but I'm wondering, is there, or I guess it would be everybody, teachers and administrators, is there some sort of potential, because obviously a lot of people's beef is the fact that they go on vacation and then they lose days because of that. Is there some sort of alternative where we do have online check-ins and things like that that could be put in place that would allow students, maybe it's a procedure that, hey, you're going on vacation, you have to report to your teacher beforehand that you're going to be on said days, and then report during those days and check your stuff online to where we could claim some sort of attendance based on the fact that, you know, while they're on vacation, it might be they spend an hour of their vacation time looking at something or doing something that would allow for us to do an attendance, and it would potentially help people that end up on vacation not necessarily lose days. Just a thought. I don't know if that might be totally crazy. I don't know.
Can I comment?
Sure.
Generally speaking, if parents are nervous about their kids being in school and leaving and being gone, you know, for vacation or whatever like that, a lot of times, even at the alternative school, the kids will come in and tell us, oh, we're going to be gone these days. Is there anything I'm going to miss?
Mhm.
And some of the teachers have it online, some of us who are old and don't like to deal with online have it on paper. But you have stuff available for them to work on. And if they can come back and have that done, then they really haven't missed a lot. And so I think part of it, parents need to get kids to talk to their teachers, and the kids that are going to miss and they're good students, they're going to do that anyway. The kids that are, oh, I'm going to be on vacation, I'm sitting in front of the PlayStation at my house playing, and you know that they are because they're talking to the kid in class. You know, it's
It never happens.
The kids that are going to and the parents that are going to are already doing it. And they're not going to fall behind. The kids that don't care and the parents who don't care, it's not going to make a difference what you do or what you put in place.
And I totally agree with that. The only thing I'm saying is if we had in policy some sort of avenue that will allow those that do that they're not penalized for it, they're actually allowed the benefit of the doubt that they went through that procedure. Because, I mean, like what you're saying, they do it anyway, but they're marked absent and they get those as unexcused absences.
Well,
where the other way, if there was a policy behind it.
Well, and do you try to tie it back to grades? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. If they're doing their work.
I still think we've got to be careful with that, though. I mean, I understand that we want to have some leeway to help families out, but if someone can just check in and just say, hey, I checked in with my teacher, and they don't show up to school for a couple of weeks, it does affect us financially. Like that's a real thing that we've got to think about.
And it affects their grade.
That's what I'm asking. Like, I don't know if that's I mean, during COVID, obviously, that was a procedure, was checking in online was a way of taking attendance for students. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if that's a state.
Had 2 out of 20 kids pass a class.
Yeah, that's the problem.
But can you do that? Is that legal?
That's what I'm asking. Is that even an option?
We don't know.
So the state,
I don't
they
know.
could be considered in class.
If the state will approve that, and because I mean, we just sat here with another group talking about how we come up with $6,000 to pay for metal that they need to do welding, and now we're talking about just continuing to allow this to blossom bigger and bigger with having different ways that kids can miss school. And I understand, I want kids to be able to go to family activities or stay home and watch a sibling that's sick because mom has to work. There's so many circumstances, but at some point in time, if we expand that umbrella too big, that's just funding that we don't have to pay for new computers, to pay for a new bus, to pay for
and
whatever.
What I'm proposing would be something that wouldn't affect funding. If it affects funding, it's obsolete. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like my goal is saying, how can we help to maintain that? And I would agree there should be a cap on it. You can't just be like endless times of doing this. It would be maybe you can get to 10 or something like that. But it would only work as if they're actually allowed to be excused. That's why I was asking if it's something that would help us from the funding side as well.
Right.
If the state would approve it, I'm all for it.
For sure.
And at the same time, you don't want to do something that's going to, place all this undue burden on our teachers and administrators too, trying to police all this and trying to keep track of it all. And I don't know, if anybody's got some real great solutions. I'd love to hear more
too.
ideas because it's a really contentious, issue in the district, and there is no like clear cut answer to it. So, or the one that's gonna please everybody for sure. But,
And again, it's one of those, we're in a rock and a hard place. Pretty much, as far as how do we do this?
yeah, we're starving for funding on one side, and
Mhm.
it's
How do you weigh it? Credit recovery. You've got kids, and you know who the kids are. If you have a kid that misses 30 days and they're not showing up to school, then yeah, they need to come to credit recovery. They need to redo that, make up and get a better grade. But if you've got a kid that gets 80 or a 90 in the class and they're coming to credit recovery just to sit there for 4 or 6 days, they're not going to improve their grade that much. But you can look, you know who the kids are. The administrator knows who the kids are. It's
The same kids over and over.
well,
Same
yeah,
kids.
but if I've had done credit recovery at Mount Harrison for couple 2 or 3 years now, and if there's a kid there that's got 90% and he missed 6 days and he could only miss 4 days, give us a break. Talk to the administrator. Is this kid a habitual misser or what? What's going on here? Have a little,
That's circumstances, different
yeah,
circumstances.
And then, is it worth it to have that kid sit there and take up a space for those 4 or 6 days to make up 2 days that they missed, and they still got a 90% in the class? Where you could have a kid that had a 45% and missed 30 days, he could really, or she could really use the time sitting in that class and getting their grade up. Sorry. I don't want to. I'm not angry, I'm just passionate.
Asking for a friend, right?
I don't know. I see it a lot.
Students
But credit recovery
don't
doesn't
need to
affect seat. Like, it doesn't affect funding. So, like,
Our
it
funding
doesn't-
is pretty much the first 10 weeks of the school year after Labor Day.
Okay. Yep.
Those,
However many kids you get there,
Yeah.
in their seats for those first 10 weeks after Labor Day determines the funding for the year.
Most of it.
most of it, yeah.
And two, like Mount Harrison, we have 2-hour classes. They miss 15 minutes. They're here, but they miss 30 minutes. They miss 45 minutes. Instead of being gone they came in 10 minutes late, they get marked absent for the whole entire time. That's, asinine. Sorry. I
don't remember that as being in our policy. Is that school?
It is. It is.
What is it?
Isn't Minidoka's only 10 minutes though?
Yeah.
That's tough.
And the thing is it's left up to the teacher's discretion, and some teachers are a little bit cranky about that.
But if they go to an orthodontist appointment, though, they can get a note, right?
Right, but
Yeah.
so say they go to an orthodontist appointment and miss lunch, and lunch took them a little bit too long, you're 10 minutes late to class, you might as well miss the next one
Yep.
because it's not gonna cover it. Your orthodontist appointment said you left at this time,
Yep.
you grabbed lunch because you missed lunch, you might as well miss the next class, it's an absence, it's not gonna cover it.
And
So
we
what
have
did you-
teachers
what
that
did you
mark
say
kids
to them?
absent
So
after.
what do you want
I
them
guess
to do?
my thing is if they're there for, 60-70% of the class, I don't know, but 10 minutes is tough.
Well, especially
They leave 10 minutes early, it's the same thing.
like when you've got West Minico and Haber, and that's where our kids are. Sometimes you have to have the high school kid pick up the other kids, and you think 10 minutes, it doesn't, like, they can't do it. Do you know what I mean? They have to leave a little earlier. So like she's saying, if they're for 60% of the class, they still don't get credit for the class.
Well, it says 20%. A student who misses more than 20% of an individual class period will be considered absent for that period.
So that affects your funding because it marks as an absent, but their butt is in the seat. That happens to my kids a lot.
But 20%, that wasn't.
How much is
Okay,
twenty
if you
percent of the
have
class
a
period?
class that's,
You're 180 minutes.
120 minutes,
You're talking.
We don't have 120 minutes.
They
No,
I
Mount
do,
Harrison does.
I do,
We actually do.
Mount Harrison does. Our class periods this year it will be close to 2 hours, an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours.
So you're talking.
But even if you go to Minidoka, how long are your class period?
That's 28
54
minutes. Pardon me?
54 minutes.
So 10 minutes.
10 minutes is.
Almost 11.
11
You almost got to 11.
10.8.
Yeah.
10.8.
So if they're taking a test and that test starts the first thing when the period gets in, they're missing out on that test.
Or like I've had a lot of instances where I take my kids because they have a test, but then we have to leave town. I'll take them 15 minutes after like before the class period's over, and it's an absence. But she went and took her test, and she got everything she needed for the class. The class was done anyway, but we leave, it's an absence.
We run into that too. That's hard, especially
So that
when they're
affects your
seniors.
funding, and their butt is in the seat. I don't know how you're making that up. Good luck.
How'd you do it? Good.
We got lousy attendance.
Well, so do we.
You know, some of the ideas thrown out there. One, this came up during COVID, but you know, districts really and teachers had to provide 4 hours of instruction in order to count kids being there. So I don't think they're going to go for something like, oh, a kid just checks in once on vacation, you know, period, and that gets to count. I doubt that's going to fly. There's going to be some requirement there. If a kid, hey, we make it up on a Friday school for something, or several Friday schools for credit recovery, well, that doesn't make up for any time. You know, they were still gone, and we still didn't get funding for them. And so, you know, that doesn't help with funding. Yes, it's I call it a punishment, or it's time to allow kids to get their grades up great, and it's helpful there, but it doesn't help funding. And so, no, we kind of went to, as admin, we decided we would rather have the kids there than count them gone. And so if they showed up for, I can't remember what time we put on, if it was half the class or more, we counted them there. Just because they were getting something, it was better than not being there. So that's what we went to.
So is there a possibility that maybe we do need to do some more diving into our attendance policy and see if maybe there should be some changes that we can make it more helpful?
Or will we find kids that'll come in halfway through the class or 5 minutes late? Oh, I'm still here.
Yes, they are doing that, and yes, you will see that continue. Oh, well, I have a free 15 minutes now, or 20 minutes, so I'm just not going to go, and then I'll show up.
So somebody needs to be accountable. Parents, somebody needs to be accountable.
Well, it said in the survey it should be fine.
I know it did. In the survey, it said the parents should be fined.
Okay. Fine. It's a great idea. I'm all for that. My kids
The catch is you're punishing the kids, and sometimes the kids don't have any control over it.
Exactly.
We had a student bring a younger sibling to school this last year, a few days, because it was safer for that sibling at school than it was at home.
You're
So
right.
you do what you can do.
So I think if you have attendance review committees, and really each case, you take it on a case-by-case issue, and if that committee really feels like there were extenuating circumstances, yeah, it doesn't help funding, but the kid's going to get credit. If there's somebody that they think is abusing it, that kid's going to lose credit, and that's going to be the punishment, because now they're retaking a class or maybe repeating a grade. And that's what it comes down to, and until there's that type of consequence.
That's what I was going to say. There
That's
has to be some
there's gotta be,
consequences.
that's what we do have in place right now. We do have an extenuating circumstance.
Okay.
We do have that in place. We
That kind of
use,
policy has to be at the grade school level too, though.
we had it at we used it several times at the high school.
And for those that lost credit, I mean, was it a wake-up call, or did they not care?
A couple, it was a wake-up call. A couple didn't care.
And they wouldn't have cared anyway.
Right.
So
and
you reach a few more, and yeah.
yes, but we did do the extenuating circumstance, and we also did it with our families that leave for Mexico, and it was very effective this year. It was very effective.
One thing that we did with families that left, we had them actually withdraw from school.
We had a
then we re-enrolled them when they came back.
Yeah, we did do that with a handful of students that were going to be gone for.
Yep.
They finished. We tried really hard to make sure that those families finished first semester so they could get those credits.
Yeah.
But if they knew they were not coming back until February or March, then we withdrew them and then put them in as new students when they came back.
I want to touch really quickly again just on the tardiness. I think we need to maybe try to find something a little bit more flexible. But I had a student who went through Minidoka and he was an excellent student. A's and B's, no problem at all. I'm telling you right now, because I know my kid, if he was allowed to miss 30 minutes of class, he would have missed 28 minutes of class because he's a dingbat who could just get really good grades. So I think we've just got to find, like, I understand we need to make exceptions, orthodontist appointments, whatever it may be.
Our worst tardies are first hour and fifth.
Right after lunch.
Right after lunch.
Yeah. And that's where my kid would have 100% missed
first hour,
up to the very end.
Let's face it, those any of those kind of weaknesses are going to get exploited. They'll figure it out quick.
Yeah, they will.
And they do. You're exactly right. Teenagers figure it out fast. Because I guarantee you when they become seniors, the first thing that they want to do, because they can have a short schedule as a senior, they want first hour off. They come to school second hour. Those that come first hour for government classes or some of those classes, then they want out before lunch.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know.
But I like the idea. I like the idea of discussing it more and finding out if there's something we can do with tardies. Maybe adding a little time or figuring out, like you said, if they were in class for a certain period, then
do we have any?
We count it. But
do we have any committees that deal with this? Is that something that we need to look at?
In the attendance policy, if they blow the extenuating circumstance, then they have the opportunity to come and petition the board. And they can write a letter and they can meet with the board.
And we've had
then
that.
the board hears their story, and the board also talks to the admin. One of the things that you brought up earlier is habitual. We look back when we do an extenuating circumstance. We always look back to see what was their attendance prior to them requesting extenuating circumstance. If this is something that they've done in the past, then we make it very clear to them, this is your one shot. If you blow it, you don't get another chance. You lose credit, this is it.
That's so stressful for high school students, by the way, especially ones that are really trying. Like, we had so many tears this year for my straight A student because of that policy. Sorry, we have to say that. Like, it was rough. This is your one chance to come in and sign the contract saying you won't miss any more days of school. So she wakes up sick.
But that's only if this has been a habitual problem, and not because of illness. Not because of an illness. That's totally different extenuating circumstance. This is when we meet with kids that are potentially losing credit.
You're talking about your attendance committee.
Yeah.
You're talking about that. Okay. That's what I thought.
But if they lose that, then they have the opportunity to come and petition to the board.
Right.
So I made a proposal for at least at the elementary level that I just feel like the tennis court is not nearly as effective since they have changed people in charge. And so I made a proposal to the admin. I would like to have our own attendance court here where all the admin would come. We'd have them all scheduled out where parents would come at the elementary level. And Dustin Heath volunteered, and I have some teachers that would love to sit on that. I think once a month we should meet just as if they did the tennis court, and we can apply more pressure because I know it's different, but like we have kids missing 20 days of school. That's like a quarter of the year.
Wow.
And we really don't have anything, we don't have credits or anything to hold over them. Even though the tennis letters will tell them, you know, you may not get to go on to the next, you know, grade or whatever. And it's not because of illnesses. It literally is because the kids are too tired, or that, you know, they'll say they don't feel good, or I mean those kinds of things. And I don't know that the parents take it very seriously. So that is something that I want to work on and talk at the elementary admin level, and then see see if we can pull in some other secondaries. And I would love for the superintendent to head that committee or at least be there because they need to have some authority there that will say, yeah, I'm going to support this. You will not be able to go to the next grade if you don't have enough days in place.
Sounds like a wonderful idea.
I got one other question because we talked about like orthodontists and doctors go to a regular schedule. What is the time limit? Because I know, like my kids, they get a time that says this is the time they basically finish by, but that's the time they finish, and then what do we give them actually get back to
get
school?
back to school?
Yeah.
How's that
Kim?
I don't think we've ever really monitored it, to be honest with you.
I just know my kid got marked absent because of how long she took to get back to school at the last year. I was like, what? She took the doctor's note in, but it was, I mean, she did stop and get lunch, I'm not gonna lie, she did, but she missed lunch too, so. But it was an excused one technically, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still, if they're absent, it's still an absence, but it goes in as an excuse.
So it did give her one of her
note gets there.
excused absences, but it still was an absence.
As soon as the note comes in, but those don't count. As soon as the note comes in, it's notified in there. That does not count.
Against that 90%?
Power School recognizes that doesn't count as one of the 7.
At what point do the doctor's excuse notes exceed what you guys count as acceptable in a district though, before it's
Well, there's not a limit.
There's not a limit. I mean, because we have kids that go to psychologists and stuff that are once a week. So those are
so those students that have extenuating
circumstances. Yeah.
Come and meet with us, and we fill out the extenuating circumstance. And we do have some students that are being treated for different things.
I know that.
So if we have the 7 days in a semester, then and a student misses 4, but they have notes for 4, they still have the 7.
Okay.
Yep. That's what I thought. I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
Well, some wanted
That's
20 days
I
in the semester.
feel like that's out there is that if you have a doctor's note that you're okay.
That have illnesses, and it's not the kid wanting to miss school; they want to be there. But sometimes you have these situations, and so they come and meet with us. And we usually have a doctor's note, and we put some things in place with the teachers and the student and the parents, and that's the extenuating circumstance.
So, quick question, just from some of the parents in here, outside of the family vacation, which I know could be 5 to 6 days that you're gone or more, what other things would cause your kid to miss 7 days of unexcused absences in a year?
Taking them to the doctor every time they're sick. My kid gets horrible migraines.
Right, but
those are
she just said if the doctor note's there, you still have the 7.
Doctor note. I'm not taking her every time she has a horrible migraine. I'm not taking her in for a migraine.
I know that makes sense what you're saying, but honestly, in elementary school, you can have an elementary student that's sick like 7, 8 times in a semester because everybody sends their kids sick to school. Do you know what I mean? Like, and some of them don't have a choice. I understand that, but ultimately, like, I get there has to be a cap, but this idea that you can't be sick 7 times in a 4-month period of time,
I think we're saying I think the policy is you can't be sick without a doctor's note 7 times.
right. And just like I'm saying, you're requiring parents to take their kids to the doctor every time they get sick. So
it is hard because there's only 4 days a week too, so there's only 20 days in a month.
And some of it came back wanted them 20 days. They wanted 20 days absence.
The
Like,
State Department does set the 90%. That is from the state.
yeah,
That's not
state
us.
does. Yeah. Yeah. It's just we had taken it to 95 and then
We had considered 95.
Well, we have
done 95 in the past. Yes.
and
have.
then we backed it off.
When we had, and that was a 5-day week when we did 95%.
Yes.
That was difficult.
Mrs. Stevenson, go ahead.
If you have 7 in each semester, that's 14 days. That's legitimately a whole month of education that they missed.
Of education plus the teachers. What they've got, what they do.
Week, it adds up.
I probably already asked this. I'm sorry, but so doctors' excused absences still allow for funding to the district, or no? It's literally
We don't get funding if kids aren't attending.
So
They
this
just
is-
don't count. If you have a doctor's note, it doesn't count against their days at the schools.
So this is up to the board's discretion then, as to whether or not children are required to bring in doctor's notes for being ill, and it was to try and prevent kids from faking or for parents from faking.
And they do. They do immensely.
But I think they're going to do it anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
You got bigger problems if you've got kids denying their kids.
it got worse the last 2 years.
Because after COVID.
After COVID, it got worse.
Sorry, Betty Stevens was trying to make a point for a minute.
Yeah.
Well, I just have two reasons that my kids miss school often. Honestly, for us, it's not illness a whole lot; it's activities. So, like when my daughter has a school activity and it starts at 4 or whatever in Mountain Home, or sometimes earlier than that, I want to take my son out of school to come with us. Otherwise, he goes home to an empty house till 10 o'clock at night. So that's a lot of them for us. Or my son has a football game. I'd like to be able to take my daughter with us. And then the other one is, but it's activities. Oh, and training for sports too. My kids train with the lady in Boise, and there's some days that we would need to leave early to get there for training. So it's activities and good things like that. It's not always just illness.
Thank you.
So, Madam Chair, you want me to pull this policy to put it into PRC for the PRC committee to discuss? Come up with things?
PRC, are you ready for that?
More confused now.
It's up to you, Russ. Yeah.
PRC, Russ, are you going to take care of it?
Yeah, you can talk about this again.
Yes, we do.
Super.
Oh,
We don't have it for voting on tonight, do we?
No.
No.
We
So
don't.
We do
I
not.
think that yes, it needs to go back. And we need some more discussion on it.
All right, we'll take that back to PRC.
Okay. And Trustee Sukan can take all this information back.
Carrie will be there too.
Oh.
Have so much faith, right?
I'm glad he's on it.
Thank you guys for all your input, though. It's hard. It's very hard.
Thank you. Sir, do you have anything to report? You've been on the job for
Not quite 2 weeks.
exactly.
Just a short 2 weeks.
No, it's been interesting just trying to figure out how things are done in the Minidoka School District. And, there's really good things going on and some things that eventually I'd probably like to change, at least make recommendations for change.
Which we expect.
Yeah. A couple of things I think the board needs to be aware of. Found out we've had issues with the IRS and our Form 941. I don't even know what it is.
Taxes.
Yeah, it is with taxes. Yeah.
Taxes.
And apparently the district, whatever we were putting on the form, it wasn't getting reported correctly. And apparently we owe the IRS roughly $45,000. Now Lexi is working on that. She's gone back to the start of 2022, that calendar year, and is redoing things and resubmitting it. So it's just really a wait and see if we're going to be charged that full amount, because most of that was in penalties. Yes. And so we're just trying to figure out, and it's a wait till we hear back from them.
Resubmitting can help.
Yes, resubmitting can help. Also, we found out we owe $20,000 for Percy that was not taken out last year when there was the $1,000 bonus from the governor. We did not pay or did not take the employee contribution of Percy out, and so now we owe that money as well. But that would have been paid one way or the other. But now instead of the employee, it's going to be the district because we didn't do something. We are trying to get, I know Taylor's here, but as he gets used to visions and what to do in his role, we're getting him some training. Visions rep will be coming in. We're going to be sending him to Nampa Wednesday and Thursday along with Amber. Nampa District uses visions, and so they can help with the day-to-day and the practical issues. So I think that'll be very good. But just know we're on top of that and trying to get employees the help they need.
Well, if you didn't come in and say, oh, I think this or this or this could be different, then
we'd have a concern. I could have a concern, let's put it that way. Because fresh eyes can make a difference. And I really think that that's going to be what we're looking to you for is fresh eyes.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Larson? It's not Mr. Ramsey.
Excuse me. I apologized.
I can legally change my name though.
No, thank you.
You're okay with what you have. Especially since I found out finally to spell it right. It has an E.
Larsen?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I need your phone number.
Okay. Migrant summer school presentation.
We just get to the reports.
Oh, sorry. This says administrator and department reports first. School nutrition and tech and transportation and maintenance. Did I see Miss Rogers here? Or is she gone?
I didn't see her.
I haven't seen her tonight.
Okay. So we know school lunches are going on, or
They're done.
lunch in the park.
They're done. They're done. The end of this month. They finished the end of the month, I think.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And then we had a tech report. Do you have any questions? Cameron and crew are just staying busy. No report?
I like seeing a lot of the check marks on there. That's good. These are getting through it.
Pardon?
Cameron and crew, that's a good title.
Cameron and crew.
Sorry. And very nice. I know Colleen's not here, but she did say they didn't have to give any tickets or anything for summer school.
That's nice.
No tickets or suspensions this month. And then 3 buses are being piggybacked on our previous purchase orders, so they should be here late August or 1st of September. That's good news too. Maintenance. Did I hear Rick Stimson said they're working on the countertops for the lockers?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what he said?
Countertops and benches.
They're making the countertops and the benches for the locker rooms in the new building.
Concession stand locker room. Okay. So, have the lockers been installed, Jeb?
They are taking lockers that are no longer used out of the high school and putting in there.
That's what I heard, but I thought, was Michelle? There
I'm
you
right
are.
here.
There you are. You were, okay.
They are not installed, but we have all the lockers over there and the stands that the lockers will go on.
Oh, okay.
The inspection will be tomorrow, so hopefully we'll get the water and the whole inspection done. The lockers don't have to be installed, but we're hoping by August that we will have them done. The concession stand, from what I understand, is done. It's just the locker room, installing the lockers and the benches.
Okay.
Final inspection. That's exciting.
Been a long time coming.
Only about 2 years longer than we were hoping it would take, but yes.
That's gonna be really nice when it's done.
That is very true.
Do you have any other questions on the report?
Was there damage done because of the hailstorm?
Yes. It's a lot.
It's a lot. Oh.
I don't know all the totals. I know there's, I think 18 at west and 16 at east of the HVAC units are bad. Like they're, from what I understood, they were smooth. The coils.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know how many were at Minidoka. I didn't get that final one. We've checked every building, but like I said, I only knew east and west.
Did you check the greenhouse at Minidoka?
I don't know, but I can have that.
There were holes put in the greenhouse at Minidoka.
Oh, that's right.
In the roofing?
Yeah.
Yes, the whole side. The whole
Okay.
side and the one top, the
That needs
south,
to go to insurance.
south roof and the whole.
And once this is done, we get the final numbers, we're gonna reach out to
Insurance,
ITEC.
yeah.
Good.
You know, the problem is, HVAC units, especially the larger rooftop units, can take quite a while to get ordered and scheduled for install.
Even replacement parts. I'm
Was
sure.
there any damage to the building roofs themselves or anything that you saw?
We did have some roofers come and patch something, and they did find a hole, so we have to pay it because it doesn't. And I wonder if it was hail that punctured it, because that's when, on some of them, that's when some of the flooding was happening at Minidoka. So I don't know if that particular one was punctured from that, but if they're punctured, then the warranty's not good.
Right.
So then we have to pay.
Right.
So.
And I think that part of the problem with that was that where the new build connected to the old build in that science hall into the social studies hall, there was some major, there was an issue there with leaking already, and then after the hailstorm, made it 10 times worse.
Yeah.
So they did get that fixed, from what I understood, this last week for the roof.
So any of the elementaries like Haber and Rupert, Paul, any of them, the Sequa?
So far we don't know, but they,
There was damage. I had Miriam take me up, Hayburn, the roof at Hayburn, and there was damage to the coils up there.
But the roof I haven't heard, like, we didn't have, nobody's really said anything that the roof is. So I'm assuming that they looked when they looked at the HVAC units, but I will check.
I was gonna say, can you let us know in August at our next board?
I was gonna say,
meeting
because
where
we'll
we
need
stand
to
on
get,
all of that?
Yes.
I guess I'd be real curious to
Yeah,
know.
that's pretty violent storm.
Yeah,
for
Yeah, it
our
was.
area.
I think all of our schools just need to be double checked and just
Somebody
see if.
sent me some video of when that hail was hitting by Minico, and the Minico got hit pretty hard.
I know that the food service ones are bad too.
The which ones? I'm sorry.
The food service.
Oh.
The
The vents, the
coils. At Minico were for sure.
Yeah.
Because I looked at one day I was standing there and I was like, oh.
What about any of like the district vehicles and stuff, maintenance vehicles?
buses, any of our buses or anything?
I don't know if we've checked
Buses,
that.
yes.
Buses, yes.
Buses had some windows broken, yes.
See, that's why I say we need to just make sure everything is checked and turn everything in.
I can't even remember the last time it hailed.
That was bad.
Do you have any other questions? Or do you want me to go through it really quick on what we got for tracks or?
Well, let us know. Yeah, you said something about your report said the tracks were. I'm sorry, I should have had this.
It just says that the tracks are in progress.
In progress, but what does in progress mean?
So I talked to Anthony today and he had met with them.
Consulting, that's what it was. Consulting.
So east would be 125,000 to replace that one, and then the track at west will be 95,000, and they can do that before school starts for west, but I guess we want your.
Was that part of the supplemental levy?
Yes.
It was.
So we have to use it.
So are you good for starting them or no?
Do you remember what the original thought was on cost?
Yeah, that's what
I
I
was
was
gonna say we need to have all of that in line.
She said 125 was
for one.
125 for east because east is larger.
But do you remember what we had budgeted on the supplemental
I
for
didn't.
that?
Let me see if I can pull it up.
We'll need to have all of that in line though when we go to vote on it.
So, I mean.
And if it's 95, we need 3 bids.
We have to. I was gonna say.
Anything over 50.
Anything
Yeah,
over
50,000. We have to have 3 bids.
But you can more just get the quotes.
Yeah, you can get
It's over
quotes.
100 that is the formal bid.
Yeah.
This is just it's a solicitation.
Yeah.
Right. It is, but I mean, if we need to have
So does
that.
it say what was the supplemental? What was?
I'm still trying to check my email to see if I have it around my sheets.
Since we're the 17th of July, do you know how the windows for East are coming along to be installed?
Yes. Oh, apparently I didn't put that on there. I'm sorry. Oh, it was on there. Windows will be installed the end of July at East.
Right. Are they here? Do you know how that's
They
coming?
will be here. I think the 24th they will be here to install them.
Oh, okay.
And then West will be done after. They're still on order, but they will be
In August.
In August or on the Fridays. They'll install them on Fridays.
Okay.
So, would you know the security cameras that were installed? Do you know any? I don't know. I was just looking at security cameras were upgraded and installed. Was that at Minico?
Cameron know more about that?
Or is that Cameron?
They are getting installed at Minico right now. Are they done? I don't think they're done.
They won't be done till August 4th.
They started in June, but they had to pull wire everywhere.
Okay, but that was just at Minico.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And Convergent was starting today for hooking up the gateways for all the doors.
Okay.
And they will continue on until school gets in. And I got that information after I sent my report.
Okay. So with the outline of what Jason and Anthony had for the summer, since we're about halfway through the summer already, do you know how they're coming on that list?
It's been kind of crazy because there's been, the roofs, then we have to go look at them and we're trying to get the concessions. There's a lot of projects. We're trying to get the main ones that need to be done first.
It's nice to see Havern's lawn looking green.
Yes, and that's been
really nice.
Very nice. Yeah, there's that one was done, and then Mount Harrison's project. All the classrooms are done, and
that was done after the hailstorm, right? So none of that was.
Oh, it's just the ducts inside.
Right.
They haven't done any outside work.
Okay.
They will start the exterior
when the units get here.
No. They will start making the boxes for the units, and so when the units get here, they just have to put them on and set them up. Then the thermostats are going to be installed also. They should be completed inside by the middle of August.
Oh.
So we're just going to be waiting for the HVAC units whenever they get here after the middle of August.
Yeah. Which would be nice if it got moved up.
Yes.
Instead of further back, but okay. Well, thank you. I know that we just threw a bunch of questions at you that you probably weren't prepared for, but thank you.
That's why I brought myself.
No pressure.
Absolutely no pressure. Migrant summer school presentation.
And you have my slideshow, but we had 10 teachers, 11 paras that helped in it. We had 159 students that showed up. We were there 15 days. In those 15 days, our student achievement from a pre and a post test in ELA, our pre-kindergarten won 86% went up 5%. On our K-5, 88% went up at least 5%. That was ELA. In math, our pre-K was 86% that went up with the 5%, and K-5 was 90% that went up with the 5% increase.
Wow.
So,
great.
No. Yeah, because we didn't have everything in set yet. They were trying for that yet, so that was all. Yeah. So we did make some good improvement. Had a lot of activities that they did. Pictures of those.
Mm-hmm.
Our 6th through 8th was a leadership class. I ended up with 39 kids in that class. It was very big. They did a lot. They kind of planned a lot of our field day with the help of my PE teacher that would nicely donated her time to come help us out.
but they went to the Boise Aquarium. They went to the City of Rocks. They're not City of Rocks. They went to the Ice Caves. They went to the Mammoth Caves, and it just varied according to grades.
The obstacle course.
Yeah, the obstacle course for the
Pretty
leadership
dangerous.
class.
Really?
That was the
Disc
leadership
golf?
class. Yeah, disc golf. The 6 or 8 learned how to do disc golf.
That works out. So.
It was a quick 15 days.
Well, you made some progress.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. We felt good about our progress.
Good
Yes.
results.
Good results.
So how, refresh my memory on how many participated last year in summer school.
From
In
what
private
I remember, there was like 175 kids that had been enrolled. I don't know how many actually showed up.
But that was last year, but we had 159 this year.
That actually showed up. We had 190 some odd on the roll, but they didn't all show up.
That's great. Thank
We
you.
had a teacher for our cultural class that came from Mexico to teach it,
Wow.
and she loved it. We had a good old time with her. So, for cultural experience for her. So.
Oh yeah. For everybody, evidently.
Yeah.
Nice.
Looks pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Great pictures.
I have a ton more if you want to see them.
Well, thanks for taking the time to do that because that's great.
We felt it was a success. So. Now they can move on onto a full on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So are all of them likely to not be here for fall, or are some of them here?
Actually, we had students that we had a family that had just come from Peru. We had a family that had just come from South America somewhere that had not been enrolled in our district. That we took. We had all the students will be enrolled in the fall.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
So yes, hopefully they can keep their progress. Okay. All right. Anyone have any other questions for Ms. Davis?
Yeah, it's awesome to hear the increases in there.
Yeah, we were excited.
Yeah.
But 15 days is not a lot of time.
No, it wasn't.
That's
Looks
great.
like it was pretty intense 15 days.
Straight party.
They also had, I didn't put it in there, but they did our first through our first, second, and third. They did swimming lessons.
Oh, that's right. They do. Yes. Yes, they do.
I do remember seeing in the migrant school swimming lessons.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they do that every year.
We had one kid that has been in summer school for 4 years, and for 3 years would never get into the water. He was scared of the water. Was actually in the water this year, and actually was floating on his back.
Oh, wow.
Great. That's awesome.
That's huge.
We felt good about it.
Cool. All right. Any other questions? All right. Let's move on to our business section. We had a new changes to our organizational chart that were on our board book for us to look at. Did anybody have any questions for Mr. Larson about those? I know he explained it to me. Did he?
There may be one potential change to that. I had Anthony come in and talk to me today. It's just under the maintenance and who's reporting to him versus Jason. Jason wasn't actually in today, so I didn't get with him. So that could be one potential change.
Do you want us to go ahead and approve it?
Yeah, just knowing that could come.
Change.
All right. Do we need to put any part of that in the motion?
Just approve it as it is, and then you can always change it later.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
Mr. Larson, what I did is I went ahead and put the one in there with those changes.
Oh, did you? Okay.
So we might have to change it back if that's not what Jason says. Okay. So
I think that's fine. What was that?
Okay.
the one,
That you changed today.
that one,
Okay.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions anybody has?
there's still a possibility of changing.
Right. Okay. I would entertain a motion for approval of the organizational chart as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mrs. Anderson,
Second.
second by Mr. Sukan. Comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval to pursue more information on a detailed audit. Any have questions?
Well, I think we should get some bids.
We'll have to.
So pursue further.
Okay.
Okay. So I would entertain a motion for direction to Mr. Larson to proceed with getting more information and bids on a detailed audit.
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Sukan,
Second.
second by Mr. Claridge. Any further questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The in-person learning plan, did anybody have any further questions on that? It's pretty much an update from what we've been doing since COVID and just continuing to change it as to current practices. He's looking at it with a 69%. I can't even come close.
I want to go soft.
There was just a few red.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah, the face coverings and the vaccinations
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah,
that was
sure.
just a
Yep, really not much there.
no.
I mean, are we still disinfecting buses regularly and doing that?
Where's she at?
I guess.
She's not here. She's not here.
They clean the buses, but I don't know if they disinfect the buses.
They were disinfecting between routes.
Yeah, they were.
I think they would spray them.
They're spraying them?
I think that's what
Gotcha.
Okay.
I don't know if they still are.
Gotcha.
Well, we can always find
Should.
out. And in the meantime, does anyone
not gonna
have any
hurt.
other
Yeah.
comments or questions about it?
No.
And if not, I would entertain a motion for approval of our in-person learning plan.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Sukan,
Second.
second by Mr. Perez. Comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. The rate increase that was put before us for use of our buses.
Ooh.
Yeah, that one.
That one
kinda
jumped a
surprised
little
me.
bit.
Assuming that has to do with reimbursement from the state, so.
I'm guessing so.
But she got the information from somewhere.
Yeah, she got, I
Because
thought it was from
remember
the
the
state.
name. She said
Well,
she remembered the
some of
name.
that came from the state with what they reimburse.
Okay.
But then like the trips where we don't get reimbursement,
We've got
Yeah,
to cover the cost of the
yes.
fuel and the cost of the wear and tear on the buses.
and so she was still within, I think the state, when she covered it with me, I don't remember the full amount she could have gone up to, but we stayed under that,
Oh, okay.
and did jump that full.
Okay. That works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Try and keep it as affordable as we possibly can, I guess.
So I guess my question is what ones are approved by the state, which ones are not approved by the state?
Well, generally it's your to and from school,
Okay.
all that gets approved or, reimbursed. It's your trips, sports, things like that.
Because for the last 2 years, we haven't even had bus drivers available to even use the bus for sports trips. We've been having to use A to B motor coach because we've been told we don't have drivers. So I would love to go back to using our buses, especially if we're just going over to Burley or Oakley or something of that nature. But I know every single.
Does the state still reimburse if it's tied to curriculum?
Yeah, if it's educational, you tie it to the standards. You can submit, and it should be, yeah. But outside of that,
Right. I know none of our sports.
Right, which makes sense to me.
Activities like choir or anything like that, they are reimbursed.
They are
But if
reimbursed.
our teachers take them on field trips, like if our science teacher takes them to the planetarium, she ties it to a standards and there's a percentage of it that is reimbursed.
Right.
I don't think it's the full.
no.
I don't. Yeah, I think it is a percentage.
Awesome.
Any further comments or questions? And I would entertain a motion for approval of the 23-24 fees.
Madam Chair,
Excuse me, rate increase for use of buses.
Madam Chair, I will make a motion for the rate increase for the use of buses.
Okay, motion by Mr. Perez,
Second.
second by Mr. Sukan. Comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the 23 the 2023-2024 fees and fundraisers. We have before us a list of those. And obviously some of them are meals and other things like band rental, equipment rental, things like that. Did anybody have any comments or questions?
I think my only question I had, and I don't know if Mrs. Kidd would know, but I think the spirit pack for football is listed as $20 there. I think that was maybe something that had existed underneath Keelan because I think it was a little bit more this year
It was.
with Coach Blaser.
So that'll probably have to be, that he probably is not aware of that, so he'll probably have to adjust that. And I think some of his fundraisers,
We'll cover part of that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
That was
So
the only
we're
question.
okay to do this because that'll be covered anyway, or do we need to?
yeah, we usually leave it on there just for that, so it will be covered in the event that he does something.
Okay.
Okay.
But he didn't come on until June.
Right.
And so, he is officially not a teacher even until
August.
So I think there will probably be some adjustments to some of his fundraisers next year.
Yeah.
Okay. But he'll do this. He'll.
But
okay.
you're comfortable with going
And
ahead?
ahead with this?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, with that being said, Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion to approve the 23-24 school fees and fundraisers.
Okay, motion by Mrs. Anderson,
Second.
second by Mr. Sukan. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And the district staff handbook is a next item for approval.
I so much reading this time.
Very interesting reading, what they can and can't wear. Other things like that. Anyway, anyone have any comments or questions?
No.
Okay. Then I would entertain a motion for approval of the 23-24 district staff handbook.
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Sukan,
Second.
second by Mr. Perez. Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Student handbooks. That was fun reading.
Oh wow.
Madam Chair, I do have one concern right off the bat on that one.
Alright.
In the Minidoka one, it does list the 95%
Mhm.
attendance. I think it needs to be
We need to
back
switch
to the
that.
90%.
90.
Terry can take care of that.
Okay.
That will be adjusted before.
That was the one question that I think we'd even
I
had
think
coming
everybody
into it.
agreed.
Yeah.
That they saw it and said, oops.
Yeah, we did.
Especially after getting
Especially after that.
that lovely little survey this morning. Okay.
Is there a reason why West Minico's isn't in there?
I was wondering the same thing.
Well,
They're on that student-wide improvement plan. The teachers wanted to meet before they submitted that plan, and they haven't met.
Yeah, so that's why
That's what I was told.
there was a request to hold off on that one, if I remember right.
I called and asked them.
Yeah.
The leadership team or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
wanted to meet.
Yeah.
the sequence isn't there either.
No.
So
Okay, so is anyone willing to make a motion for approval of the student handbooks as presented tonight?
Well,
With
a change.
To approve Minico's based on the change
Yes.
to 90%.
we can put that in there.
Yes, we can put that in there.
Well, then I guess I'll make that motion based
Okay.
on
Okay, so you are moving to approve student
handbooks as shown, with the exception of Minico's. High school's handbook be modified to reflect the 90% attendance policy.
Okay, motion by Mr. Claridge. Do you have that, Carrie?
No. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, is there a second? Second by Mr. Sukan. Any further comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. The Rupert supply list.
Sorry, sorry, I was busy typing it.
The Rupert supply list. Anything, anybody questions, wanted to ask
I don't have it.
Yeah, it's not attached.
It's not there.
Yeah, it's not
Where did
attached.
it go?
Where did it go? It was.
It
It's,
was
it
there.
just says Rupert
It just
supply
says
list.
Rupert supply list. I can't get it.
Oh
There's,
yeah,
there's
it's
no
not there.
attachment.
It was. I could have sworn.
I could have sworn that that's the second. It's no different than last year.
Hey.
I can say.
So maybe
Hang on
we.
just a minute.
Are you okay if we
I would say we carry that one over till next
carry
month.
over? I don't think.
There really isn't a lot of changes.
Do you want me to find it?
But I mean, I can email it to you too.
Can you email it to us quickly? Thank you. I went on because I asked for it last time. Sorry.
It was there before. I could have sworn.
Can we keep on going and then just come back to it?
Yeah. Thank you for telling me I'm not crazy.
No, I'm pretty sure I've.
But that's
But then
where
again,
they're going.
it's like I said before, like I got back in here and I thought about half of it was different than what I was reviewing. And I know I was in the
Yesterday.
right order.
I know. So while you do that, if
I've got it, Angela. I can email it to you real quick.
so, you're sending us an email then.
I was gonna say because I had parents asking. I said, well, it had to be approved tonight, and then I could post it. So.
Okay.
Can we go ahead and go on and come back to it?
I don't want to have to sign it again. Darn it. Oh,
I just got.
I got
Is
it.
it there?
Yep, I got it.
Yeah,
I got
okay.
it.
Yep, it's here.
Okay, look at it on there.
Of course, I could also give a pitch for the Fill the Bus that's coming up.
That's right. Field Bus
Field
is
Bus.
coming up the 22nd,
Yeah.
Saturday. So hope everybody contributes.
I'm gonna go buy something and fill the bus. Okay. Has everyone seen it? Are you comfortable with the idea of passing it now?
Yes.
Okay. Then I
Yeah.
entertain a motion for approval of the Rupert school supply list as we just received.
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion to okay the Rupert Elementary supply list.
Okay. Motion by Mrs. Anderson. Second by Mr. Claridge. Any further comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'm going to ask right off the bat because these are all some policies that we can delete, that we can approve in one reading if everyone is okay with that. Anyone have any comments or questions?
The district planning is from ISBA.
Yes.
The district plan, I wondered that with all of those.
ISBA.
I
And
wondered
the code of conduct is taken directly
from
from
ISBA. Yeah.
It's different than ours by
It's not as wordy.
yet. And
The vacation.
the vacation is so that someone can take a vacation day without having worked for a year. But if they quit before that year, they
have to pay it back. Got that.
And then the activity busing procedure basically adds you get it dirty, you return it dirty, you have to come
and clean it up.
I think that's fair.
I
do
that's
too.
Very fair. So with that, I would entertain a motion for approval of policy 130.00 district planning, policy 140.00 code of conduct school trustees, policy 542.90 vacation full-time personnel, and policy 80600P, which is the procedure for activity busing procedure. I'm willing to make that motion.
Do we need to read out just as you read it? Or can we
You
just?
can say
So, Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve
as read.
the policies as read by the chair.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Perez, second by Mrs. Anderson. Any further comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
I have some questions that I want to ask them. Not on this, just
Are you ready for Dermot? Or is this later?
I want to ask out there because I want to know who. I asked one of them, but I want to know a couple of questions, answers to a couple of questions. Can I do that?
If you want to, yes.
Okay.
I yield the floor.
On the defibs. Who knows about buying the defibs and defibrillators at the schools? Did they? Okay, so did we buy new batteries? Did we buy new defibrillators?
We need a couple of new ones, I understand. So what we do is the nurses work with Michelle Whitmire.
Right.
And the nurses keep track. Melanie Lucas goes out and checks each she has a regular schedule and she keeps a track of, she's got the spreadsheet when the batteries are gonna go bad. And she turns that into Michelle. So Michelle's in charge of ordering it. I can't remember, I think there's a couple of the defibrillators that are older and they can't get
The battery. Okay, so we had to replace them.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Perfect.
And it's expensive.
Oh.
The fire department over in Paula's purchased them for some of our buildings, and people in the community have been really good to donate, but they're expensive.
Oh yes. No, definitely. I just wondered if we were just doing new batteries or replacing some new ones. Because I totally understand that. Question on new furniture and teachers' desks. Where did all that go to?
Hebron Elementary.
What happened to the old stuff?
So some of it went to different schools, and their custodians knew what was needed. So they may have had, I know Paul, for example, was one that there was several sets that was better from Hebron that they took to Paul, and then they may have got rid of their older that was not in as good of shape.
Got rid of them like where?
Huh?
Got rid of them like where?
How did we dispose?
How did we dispose of them?
Actually, we still haven't. They're in our storage.
I don't actually want to know where they've been.
What about
Because we
ones
need to
that
know.
we saw sitting outside the school on Facebook?
Yeah, what happened to those?
They were given out on Facebook for free.
We realized that
That's illegal.
breach of policy.
Ooh.
Because they were also not run through us for disposal. And that is part of code.
Well, I think part of it, and I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think after so many years of being in on the, like at 20 years or whatever, I think it drops off of the sheet. Am I wrong? Like after 20 years, I don't think they show up on the.
We still have to dispose of that.
That may be the case. I think there probably is a policy. I don't know this for sure, but I'm sure there's a policy from ISBA that this is adopted on the disposal of
We might need
property.
to check on
And
that.
so there are dollar amounts attached if an item, not that a desk would fit this, but if an individual item is $500 or more, we have to go through the process of publishing how we're getting rid of it. If it's under that for an individual item, it's really up to the district, usually the superintendent, on the best way to get rid of that. But then I still have to notify the board how that's going to be disposed of.
Because that's
I'm guessing
taxpayers'
it's something
money.
along those lines, anyway. So
Well, and it's taxpayers' money, so
Yes.
that's why it can't. Yeah, we kind of need to know that.
For 20 years, and they're no longer on our inventories.
But we still need to have that though.
Well, I think we just need to check.
Check
Because if that is
yeah.
the case, if it is fall off every 20, then
Is
that's
there a
fine.
way that like our storage unit out of Minidoka is full of broken stuff that can never be repaired, and
Right.
we're just sitting on it out there.
So some of that stuff could
How
go.
do we get rid of that?
So some of that stuff could go over to like Pacific Steel and whatever get turned in for X amount. I mean, we used to do that at the city, but it has to be somebody does it, but it still has to come through that we have to declare it junk.
Well, who does that? Who declares it?
We do.
Fill out those sheets.
You fill out the sheets. We declare it.
So it's really how,
We have the disposition sheets. We have all that stuff filled out, but it's still just sitting there. So like we
It's maintenance.
have this huge facility that was built 3-4 years ago, and it's stuffed.
It's maintenance. They have to. It's maintenance. They have to get rid of it.
Bonnie has to sign that first.
Yeah.
After it's signed, then it goes.
Then it can go to wherever.
Okay, so where is? I can't tell you the number of times I filled it out. Where is it? I filled it out and sent it in. I know it's been sent in. So where?
That's a really good question. I don't remember signing.
I think a lot of times the disposition sheets come through and get signed, and sometimes the getting rid of doesn't always happen immediately after. Or when we have them in these big buildings, it's
it's a lot of work to get that much out of it, and so I think they keep putting more in and more in. I know that Miriam worked like trading out like what was good with what was bad. She's the one that would know where.
Stuff multiplies.
I just know I filled that out multiple times. I know I
It's
have.
like rocks growing.
To try and get some, because we need room to store stuff. And we
Okay, so back to my question. Okay, well, it should come in front of us or whatever, and so we can see it, so we can get rid of it, get it out of here.
Seems like it should be a pretty easy fix.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll review the policy and get back with you on that. But I don't think it should be a hard process because
No.
It just sounds
a
like
broken
there's something
desk is not
missing
gonna
in
be
the
over
chain.
$500.
There's
Sounds
something
like we're
missing in the
filling out
chain.
The stuff. It's
Yeah.
just
$700 it can be disposed of at the most cost effective.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so back to my question. So Paul got the lot of the stuff, right? Or Hayburn. So
Every school
teacher's
brought
desk. Hopefully there was more than one.
We didn't get any teacher's desks that I'm aware of. We got some students' desks and student tables.
we have a couple teachers' desks. I think we had
a
3.
couple like Devout Harrison, I know.
We have some teachers' desks.
And some teachers don't have desks.
Okay.
And they're
The only reason because it says teacher's desk, 22,000.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the quantity.
Okay, I figured that, but I'm just asking. Okay, I'm hoping that it was more than one desk.
So it's like a house desk.
But you know.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my questions. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Is there any other business questions to bring before the board? If not, I would entertain a motion for adjournment so this poor man can drive back home.
I'll be home by 10:30.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay, motion by Mrs. Anderson,
second.
second by Mr. Perez. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.